What's up, everybody? It's your boy Steph from TCG, and thank you for coming to this year's first episode of This Pod's on Me. Now, I know I haven't actually came out with a podcast this month, or this year rather, only because I completely forgot. I had one planned, I had a guest lined up, and things fell through, and unfortunately on my end, I neglected to push it further. So I do apologize on my end, but we are here today. We have a few things we're going to talk about. We are going to be talking about Outsiders and the spoilers made so far. We are going to talk about the upcoming Skirmish season. And then what I think the meta will be going forward when it comes to Classic Constructive. If any of those topics interest you, go ahead and hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel. Turn notifications on so you can see all these videos. But we are going to start off with our mailbag that we had. And we have had some questions lined up for a while. And again, I do apologize. Some of these might be a little outdated. Well, I don't have a ton of questions, so I'll start off. With the ban and restricted announcement coming out, do you think ice is gone? Well, obviously, I have to talk about what I would have thought ahead of time. Well, back at the time. So this question was asked about a day after the ban and restricted announcement. No actual term has happened yet, as of that question. At the time, I definitely didn't think the ice would be gone. I thought that. Let me give it to you an analogy, because a lot of people really just don't understand how bans and stuff work. So let's say Icelander and Odom, because those were the decks primarily hit. That were obviously hit. Let's say with all those cards in the deck, they're a 90 out of 100. 100 being the most powerful, most efficient deck possible. And they're currently at a 90. Because like I said, Odom doesn't have pulse. I said it has downside list. Well, there's some stuff that knocks them down, right? But let's say they're both a 90. With these bans, they're definitely not 90 anymore. They go down. But now they become a 75 or an 80 out of 10. They're still absolutely phenomenal and still above almost every other deck. They're just not as broken. It's just like when Skeletor got banned. Viscerai became this monstrosity of an OTK deck. He lost Skeletor. Everyone's like, Viscerai's unplayable. The hell do we play this Viscerai character? He's dead. And then people continue to play him. He had success. And then when I tried to explain to my local shop, because my thing is, I wasn't actually around for Skeletor. I wasn't around. I came in after Skeletor. I think that might have been the most recent BNR as well, was Skeletor being banned. But it took Viscerai from a general OTK deck to a fair tempo, mid-range, or whatever you want to call aggro deck. And let's say the Viscerai OTK deck was, again, a 90 out of 10, 95 out of 10. He just goes on to an 80, 75. He's still better than most other decks. He's just not as powerful as he once was before. And it's the same concept here. So, no, I didn't think ice would have been gone. I even predicted that there would be a lot of ice there. Now, I was wrong on half of this. So, there wasn't a ton of ice. I believe there was a total of 56 players bringing Icelander Oldham, and I'm not going to really count Lexi here. She did just get caught in the crossfire there, but she was primarily not what was aimed at. So, it was about 56 players, or 53 players, one of the two. In the top 8. Actually, let's not go to top 8. Let's go to day 2. 2 of the 3 highest conversion rates was Icelander and Oldham. Let's start there. 2 of the 3. Number 1 conversion was Icelander, I believe. So just that there says, no, these decks are still good. Top 32 conversion, same thing here. High conversion rates for these 2 heroes. And you know what the worst thing about all this is? And why I just laugh at the people that said ice would be dead? Out of the 8 competitors, out of the 8 slots in the top 8 of the Calling Indianapolis. Mind you, I was there, and I was sitting next to the feature match table the whole entire time. You know what it was? 7 of the 8 decks were ice. 5 rode them, 2 Icelanders. Now, we did have Tarek Patel and Breyer. And unfortunately, I was rooting for him because he was my pick to win. but I figured he'd be on Odom. But 7 of your 8 slots are Ice Heroes, and 5 are Odom, who everyone thought was super dead. Because I was like, guy doesn't have one as well, they took Pulse away. It's just like, how is Odom supposed to win games? I'm like, Odom. And then here's another thing that gets me about Odom, right? And I have to hear this literally all the time, and it frustrates the heck out of me. I hear, well, if you're playing all these Crush cards, why wouldn't you just play Bravo? Bravo just does the aggro thing better than Odom. And in certain and very tight situations, you were 100% correct, and this isn't arguable. There are certain hands that Bravo will just do better than Odom, and Bravo will just tell their opponent they lose the game, they don't get to play the game. That is 100% factual. But you know what Odom doesn't get? I mean, you know what Bravo doesn't get? Earth React, Ice React, Crown of Seeds, Rampart, all of the Elemental Guardian attacks, the ability to fuse those. He doesn't get any of that. And I think that is a significant difference. It's just the fact that now the way the Odom deck is tuned, it is an impenetrable wall. That still has the ability to pivot to an aggro plan. Now, a lot of times it doesn't need to, but it can. Bravo does have 3 modes. He has aggro, mid-range, control. But realistically, right now, the one that's doing the most success is just the Casino Bravo, I like to call. Not the draw cards Bravo, but like, dude, I'm just trying to dominate this Final Crush, this Script and Crush every single turn. I'm going to have you deal with it and ask me how you feel about it. That's what they're trying to do. And sometimes it works. You know how much it worked in Indy? 2.4 conversion rate to day 2. Not the top 8, not the top 32. A highly represented deck had a 2.4 conversion rate. I am not going to hear Bravo is better than Odom. I refuse to hear it. And I mean very serious right now. I refuse to hear that. Ever. Until Odom LLs, I do not see a reason to play Bravo. Now in the future, Bravo does get like certain cards. Or Odom just gets hit further. Maybe I could see a world where Bravo's play rate does skyrocket and his conversion rate goes by. But as of right now, I don't think those cards are on the table. So I'm not going to hear that Bravo's better than Odom at literally anything besides being a cheaper deck. If money is an issue, you know what, dude? You can get down with Bravo. Bravo's a very cheap hero to get into. It's the reason why a lot of people play him. You can just pick up the Bravo starter deck for the most part and actually you can just do stuff. And then most of the money that comes from Bravo's is equipment and then CNTs. That's it. So, if you want a budget option, play Bravo. If you want to actually compete, you play Odom. I don't think this is arguable. I just don't. As far as that question goes, I believe I have answered. And going forward, I still think there's going to be Ice. There's been people saying Icelander is just bad, and it's only because Michael Hamilton won. Do we forget that there was 2 Icelanders in top 8? Did we forget that, guys? Did we just forget that those 2? And it was Majin who, in his own right, absolutely beast Icelander. But I don't even think you would say that Michael Hamilton and Majin are still in the same tier. Whatever tier Michael Hamilton's on, Majin is under that tier. As good as a player Majin is. It's more just a accordance to Michael Hamilton's being that good. And now another thing I hear, well, all the players that they played against were just bad. Really? This is probably one of the dumbest arguments I hear, is that every time a deck that people perceive not to be good wins, or like a deck that's obviously powerful, but they personally don't think it's good, wins, they think, oh, everyone's just bad. Like when Odom had post hit, dude, everyone that Odom beaten is just bad. He's only beating bad players. I'm like, okay, so he had the highest win rate in the national season. Okay. Alright, but you know what? That's fine. Maybe they all were just bad player. Maybe every single player in the world that just lost Odom was bad. Maybe. So then we come to this season. Oh, Odom has. Oh, Odom has the most PQ wins. I guess all those players are just bad. They have nerfs happen. Dude, what the dude? How are there 5 Odoms in top 8, dude? I guess everyone they played was just bad. When are we going to stop arguing like this and saying everything is just bad? And then saying, oh, maybe these players are just good, or maybe the deck is that good. When is it going to be that argument? What do we have to do to stop just saying players are bad? Whenever we don't, the result that we think should happen doesn't happen. When are we going to stop doing that? Because it's a very, very poor argument. It's another argument I am tired of hearing. It's not a good argument. I do apologize for ranting there, but hopefully I did answer the question. But question number 2. What do you think the stealth mechanic will be in Outsiders? Okay, so I was actually going to be talking about this in the actual, talk about Outsiders, but I guess I will go ahead and address it now. I really just don't know. I get, I guess what I want to say stealth is either you, because every time I come up with a concept, it just doesn't feel right. Because the first thing I was gonna say is either you can't block or you can't use reactions. But how does that really mix with stealth, right? How does that make your thing stealthy? I actually no. Okay, if you can't block, you can only use your actions. Because think about this: if someone's sneaking up on you, you can't preemptively block it. But when they do something to you, you can react turn around and try to grab their arm or something. I don't know. It's kind of like a fell shot, but that's kind of my guess. But it could be anything. And I'm excited because let's say there's a couple cards that literally just say stealth, and I hate how they don't just say what the keyword does. I don't like guessing on a keyword because it makes it so hard to think about what cards do. Because yeah, and I get it, right? You're dude, I'm so hyped for spoiler season so we can finally know what this keyword does when we see all these cards. That's cool. But my counter to that is just tell me what the keyword does so I'm not running around chicken with my head cut off wondering I have all of these cards spoiled. I have zero context of what any of them do. That's just me personally though. That's just me. Um, Last question. You ever just get CNC pummeled? I mean, I have 5 Bravo players in my shop. I get CNC pummeled at least once an hour. I get CNC pummeled at least once an hour, dude. I don't know what to tell you. But that is the mailbag portion of this. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Like I said, if you guys want to send some more questions, either comment down below on any of the other this pods with me, comment on the Reddit thread this is going to be on, or just always Discord DM me. So next, let's talk about Outsiders. Let us talk about Outsiders here. I'm excited. This is, I don't want to say this is the most excited I've been, but this set, I think truly will start off, because I think the first set of any year, any fiscal year, will set the tone for the rest of the year. So if this set's good, if this set is good, I think we're on a ways to having a very, very good year when it comes to Flesh and Blood. But if the set's poor, if the set's bad, it's going to be a rough one. So let's start off. We have a few new heroes joining the battlefield. We have Azuri, Switchblade, coming with an old and young. We have Arachne, Solitary Confinement, only young, and is also 19 health. That is interesting to see. We have Riptide, Lurker of the Deep, who is starting at 38 and 19 respectively. Again, that is very, very interesting. And then we have some side characters. We have Katsu and Minji here for some reason. I am kind of upset to see that Benji's not getting an adult form. I figured if Benji's here, why not just give Benji an adult form? But I don't know what to tell you. Wait, hold on. Has Benji always had this text? Hold on a second. I'm actually looking at the Benji. Okay, never mind. I misread it. So I read Benji's second line as like the next time an attack action control hits you, next attack gets +1. I was like, dear God, no wonder Benji's just so TKing people. But no, it's just the first time each turn. But so we're gonna have Ninja, Ranger, and Assassin available in the draft portion. And I do think draft will be interesting just because there's two different assassin heroes, there's two different ninja heroes, there's two different ranger heroes. I forgot. There's also Zayna in the set. I apologize. So I think that's gonna be cool. Is it gonna be balanced? I don't know, because we don't know what any of these characters do, so we don't know like is one just strictly better than the other. Like we can say for like Ninja's sake, like Benji's probably gonna be better than Katsu, just because Benji would probably have more natural synergy with the cards that they can have, whereas Katsu is really going to want to have very specific cards. And let's go into some of the action cards. First, we have Spike with Blood Rot. Spike with Blood Rot costs 1. Says target attack action card with stealth gains +3, and when this hits a hero, create a Bloodpox token under their control. This is an attack reaction. And you say, well, Siphon, what's a Blood Rot Pox? Well, let's find out. Blood Rot Pox says, at the beginning of your end phase, destroy Blood Rot Pox, then it deals 2 damage to you unless you pay 3. Interesting. So a couple interesting things. It is an aura. That is one thing to look at, is an aura. This triggers at the beginning of your end phase, so this is before you arsenal, before you drop. This is before anything. You're going to need to pay this 3, you're going to take 2. One thing I actually am looking forward to is if there's a way to build a control deck and stack these on your opponent. I most likely doubt it. Because, like, if there's just a way you can give your opponent multiple of these a turn, and then you can also turtle up, and then just, like, burn them theoretically, I don't think they'll allow something like that. Like, you would need to produce a good amount of these, like, either one every single turn, or, like, be able to do it in bursts of 2 or 3, for I think something like that to be good. But, honestly, Blood Rock looking pretty good. And like I said, this is an attack reaction of +3. So, the +3 can help you get through a lot of breakpoints, because if you look at your average card being a 4 cost attack, or 4 power attack, giving it +3 gives it 7, which is an awkward breakpoint, so it is likely to leak through depending on how your opponent plays. Spike of Ferality. We have another one. We have the exact same text, except it makes a Ferality token. What is a Ferality token? Well, a Ferality token says, your attack action cards played from Arsenal and your weapon attacks have -1 power. At the beginning of your end phase, destroy Ferality. So this is very, very specific on when it's good. Because again, only attack action cards from Arsenal and weapons. So if you're going in something like Ranger, or any of those, right? Actually, no, I guess Ninja is in there too. No, I apologize, I said Ninja already. I definitely think like shutting off Kadachi's is just good, right? If they want to have a big 5-card hand and try to play something cool from the arsenal, it gets nerfed. Ranger just gets clapped because now their breakpoints get awkward on their side, and they have to decide like how well their turn can actually be with the -1 attack. But there's probably going to be enough uses where this is useful, or they just probably wouldn't have pushed it through. Lastly, we have Spike with Inertia. Same thing, but you make an Inertia token. An Inertia token is, at the beginning of your end phase, destroy Inertia. Then put all cards from your hand and arsenal at the bottom of your deck. So it's Seek and Destroy. That's Nora. Okay, this is actually interesting. So you're going to put all cards from your hand and arsenal on the bottom of your deck. So this actually is pretty good. I don't know if it'll be more made than Blood Rock Box, but like, hmm. Oh, I'm actually trying to decide which one's better. Because like there are scenarios where like inertia probably doesn't matter. Because like you're just gonna draw up after this anyway. But like it keeps you from keeping specific cards. So like, for instance, if you can give this to a Kano, and they've been setting up their Aether Wildfire and their lessons in their hand, and it's not like something happens if you don't goes. It just happens. It as long as once it's destroyed, it just happens. So you have to clear the aura before this trigger happens, and there's not a likelihood that you can. So like, this is just broken against Wizard. It's gonna be pretty good against Ranger. Yeah, this is really just a Secret Destroy on Aura. I like it. That's pretty good. I like it. Like so, all those attack actions give +3. I like it. Next card we have Infect. This is a 0 cost, 3 power attack action card with stealth. Again, we don't know what stealth is. When it hits, credible box. So assuming stealth has nothing to do with Go Again. Coming for 0-3 with no Go Again doesn't seem great. But the way I have my personal Arachne built, right? And we're not going to talk about Azuri because we don't know what Azuri does. So like if this was to go in mine, right? I think this is still fine. Because what this does is you can block with 3 cards and send this. Now your opponent has to make a decision. Do you want to lose a card in your hand to now nerf your turn when I'm primarily blocking and fatiguing you anyway, and you're making my job easier? Or do you want to hit, take 3 damage, and then take another 2? So realistically, you can look at this as a 0 for 5. That's if this hits and they do not pay for the block box. And then I think when you look at that, this actually card's way above rate. So if you guys have heard me talk about the rating of a card, this is not discovered by me. This is discovered by Michael Hamilton. What you do is you take the pitch of a card in the top left, you take the power of the card in the bottom left, you take the defense of a card in the bottom right, and then you add those together, and you minus the cost. So look at Infect. It's a red, 3 power, 3 block, 0 cost. So let's do this together. 1 plus 3, which is the power, it's 4, plus the block is 7, minus 0, 7. So if you look at this card at base, it's technically underrated because the average card is 8. That is how they design the game. So this card is technically underrated. But keywords and certain effects give you points. Stealth, hopefully it's a beneficial thing, might give you a point. We don't know yet, so maybe it goes up to 8. And then the fact that it creates material, in my opinion, gives it a +1. So at minimum, in my opinion, this is an 8, possibly a 9. So this could already be good. So now let's look into the context if it was to hit. So we're going to say this is now 5. We're going to go 1, 6, 9. And again, if we count stealth, 10. So now this card's way above rate. I like this. I like this card a lot. I like this card. Sedate. Sedate is the exact same thing, but creates an inertia token. And Wither, exact same thing, Trolley. So we can kind of see how these cycles work. And because these are commons, we can assume they are going to be rainbow. The only thing I don't know is if the attack action cards will also be rainbow. They're on the rare slot, so I could see it, but I could also see where, like, a deck full of all of these could just output too much damage or leak too much damage without their opponent properly being able to fight back against it. I don't 100% know, though. But I like this. I like this style where, like, on the surface, these cards don't look super powerful, but then, like, if you allow them to hit, they become very powerful. And again, we don't know what stealth is. Speaking of stealth, Razor's Edge. Attack action card. Target attack action with stealth gains 3. And the one thing all these have in common, which is really good, these all block 3. This is the one thing I like about Assassin, is everything blocks 3. Everything blocks 3. This is really good. Really good. Let's scroll down to one of my favorite cards, because knowing I am an OG Ninja player. We have Bonds of Ancestry. This is a red 2-cost ninja attack action that comes in for 4, block for 3. It has combo. If a card with Gust Wave in its name, I'll repeat that, a card with Gust Wave in its name was the last attack this combat chain, this costs 2 less, so it now goes down to 0 to play. And has Go Again, and when this attack, when this attacks, not when this hits, when this attacks, listen, you may banish a card with combo from your graveyard. If you do, search your deck with a card with the same name, banish it, then shuffle, you may play it this combat chain. So let me break this down to you. Again, we're probably getting a card with Gust Wave in the set. I doubt that we're only going to have one Gust Wave because of how they word this. Let's say you go one Gust Wave. Has Go Again. Then you play this. So this is going to be a 0 for 4 with Go Again. Right? Or a good rate. And you can do the game. So this is 1, 5, 8, 0. On rate card. This is a card that's on rate. Then has Go Again, so I give it +1, so now it's above rate. Now what this allows you to do, let's say you have a blue 100 Winds in your graveyard. You can banish that blue 100 Winds from your graveyard. Grab a red one from your deck. And then now you can play it. That's insane, right? Absolutely insane. And we don't know, is there going to be more combo cards? Is there going to be something that comes after this? There could be something that comes after this. We don't know yet. But I think this card is absolutely going to be a big boost to Ninja. This is a card that Katsu and Benji can use. But I think the good thing is, like, they gave us a Ninja card that Fi can't use. Now, Fi, for the most part, really wants to keep Chichikonic. But, like, if they accidentally just gave him a good enough card that could go into his deck, that would have been bad. I think this card is going to be really good. I think it's going to help. So look out for Bonds of Ancestry. Next, we're going to go to Ranger. We have Quiver of Rustling Leaves. And I unfortunately missed my opportunity to get this card at Calling Indianapolis and have it signed by Mark Poole. Sad face, sad face. But let's talk about what this card is. This is a Quiver. This is a new type of equipment. And a Quiver can be equipped in a weapon zone additional to the bow. So even if your bow is two-handed, which they are, you can have this in your offhand slot. Boom, you have it. But what does this Quiver do? This Quiver says instant. Pay 3. Reveal the top card of your deck. If it's an arrow, put it face up into your arsenal and destroy Quiver Rustling Leaves. So there's a few important things about this card. It's an instant. Does not use your action point. You can also do this on your opponent's turn. That's pretty good. You do reveal on top of your deck, so if it's whatever, if it's not like an arrow, they're gonna know what it is. But a lot of times I don't think that actually matters. But if this is an arrow, it just goes straight face up into your arsenal. And if you have a deck like New Horizons and you already have a card face up, now you just get another one. It's pretty good. I think this combo is really good with Bow of Sandakai. Is that what it's called? The new bow that came out of Dynasty, because anytime a card goes in arsenal face up, gets a aim token, and this just puts in the arsenal face up. I think that's pretty good. Now it does destroy itself, but realistically, there is not a lot of cost capital with this. This feels just free enough, and there are situations where this effect in the past could have just saved games. Like, how many times have you been a Ranger player and just been like, I drew a no arrow hand or I drew a 1 arrow hand, I can't do much. And then you look at your next 4, wow, 3 arrows. And like top one was an arrow. Well, in that scenario, if you could just pitch the blue, put the arrow there, so now you have 2 arrows. Or now you have 1 arrow, depending if you didn't have any. And I think now you're actually able to have a turn. And this is free. This is not you have to play a card from your hand. This is on the battlefield at the start of the game. This also gives you the ability to filter turn 1. Right? there's a lot of things to this. Now, yes, it breaks, but I think if you could just do this turn after turn, I think it'd probably be broken. So like, I am kind of glad that it breaks. And who knows? I wonder if we get more quivers. By the way, I wonder if we get more quivers. It is a majestic, so I doubt it. But who knows? Next, we have Codex of Frailty. The zero cost yellow assassin slash ranger action. So one thing this set is bringing is split cards, and split cards in this game are multi-class. So this is assassin and ranger. So if you're one of those heroes, you can play this. It does not block for 2. That is something to keep in mind. Each hero puts an attack action card from their graveyard face down into their arsenal. Each hero that does that discards a card. Create a ponder token under control and a frailty token under your opponent's control. So, really quick thing. So, if you heard how I said that, even if the players don't put the attack action card into their arsenal, you still make a ponder token for yourself, so you get to draw at the end of the turn, and a frailty token under your opponent. I think that's pretty good. And then one another good thing is, now yes, this is symmetrical, but it doesn't always matter. Let's say you're going against Dorinthia. Well, Dorinthia sometimes runs one Nurse Shampiness and that's it. Well, she doesn't have that Nurse Shampiness, well, she doesn't put anything in their arsenal. Or what if they already have something in their arsenal? Or if, say, you're going against Kano. Kano doesn't have attack action cards except, again, Nurse Shampiness if they run it. So they get no benefit off of this. Now, yeah, you have to discard a card, but you're pretty much trading a card for a card. You're putting a card from graveyard in your arsenal and discarding a card from hand. And then you're creating a ponder token, which will draw up at the end of the turn, so it pretty much negates the cards you discarded. And you're creating a frailty token, which will now nerf the damage that your opponent's doing on their turn. I think this is an amazing card. Now, there is a chance I am overrating this card. I will say this. Because it is symmetrical, and there are times where your opponent just won't have an arsenal, and you just benefit them. Like, you go against a Briar that doesn't have an arsenal, and you just tell Briar, hey, yeah, you can put this card in your arsenal. That could have actually just been the worst possible thing you could have done. But, like, we won't know that. We just don't know the range of this card until we actually get our hands on and get to play it consistently. But I think this card's going to be very, very powerful. Death Touch, probably one of the best cards that we're going to see from this set. And the quote-unquote drawback is, I think, going to be fine. We have Death Touch. It's a 1-cost, red, 6 power, 2 block. Death Touch cannot be played from hand. That's perfectly fine. When this hits a hero, create a Frailty, Inertia, or Bloodrock Pox token under their control. I'm just excited to have a 1 for 6 in Ranger. With no need to pump. That's all I'm really looking at here. Now, like, obviously, the downside is, like, it could be very specific, because, like, if you can't get into your arsenal for some odd reason, it's gonna kind of suck. It doesn't have Go Again. But I think you're looking to, like, want to buff this up and stuff, and just really get this to hit, and then create a disruptive effect against your opponent. Blocks for 2, which kind of sucks, but I think that trade-off is perfectly fine. I think the 2 trade-offs you're taking for this card, you 100% take them. Not being able to play from hand. Because I wonder if there's a way we can play from graveyard or banish. I wonder if that actually becomes a thing, because with that wording. That's something we're going to have to look at, if that's ever a thing. Because that makes this card even better. And then we obviously have the Frailty token. So that's going to be the set that we have so far. Swirler season kind of has started, but we do have, as of recording, this is the February 11th. And we have our next spoiler February 15th, sorry. And then we don't have any more spoilers until March 5th. So, Team Covenant, you're going to be the one holding us over for a while. We're going to need you to do it big. So that's going to be that portion. Going to be completely honest. I'm really excited. I know I've said that already, but like, I'm just LSS. I think did a really good job. Surprising me. So here's why I have faith in them. I initially thought Dynasty was absolutely crap. I thought it was absolute crap. I thought Uprising was a home run, and then going into Dynasty, I was just like, "Yep, this set's just awful." Yep, here goes LSS doing the Magic the Gathering thing, making bad sets. And now that we look at it, Dynasty was absolutely fantastic. We just didn't know it at the time. So I have utmost confidence in LSS to make this set into a good set. So I am excited. So now let's kind of pivot into the skirmish season. So this is going to be my first skirmish season. I did not get to participate in last year's skirmish season. I know there was a skirmish season right before that, but I'm not going to count that one. Just going to be honest. Um, so what am I personally looking to play before we even talk about the meta? As of right now, I am eyeing 3 decks. I am eyeing Prism, Chain, and Kano. Uh, and I do think Prism is probably at the top of that list, and then Kano, then Chain. I just enjoy Prism's playstyle. If you guys have ever heard me talk about my time in Flesh and Blood, one of the biggest regrets I had was not playing more Prism in CC when she was there. Because if I look at my win rate with Prism, it's actually disgustingly high. Like, my first time ever playing Prism at my LGS, I went undefeated. Then I went 3-1. Then I went undefeated. Then I went 2-2. One of those was a mirror, and I've never played the mirror. And the other one I just got harrowed by Phi. But like, I've had consistent success with Prism. The only thing I never got to was actually take her to a rated tournament. Which, weirdly enough, she actually usually had a lot of people at the bottom tables, but I think she was very, very highly played. I just remember every time I'd go to a rated event, I would actually rarely face Prisms. But there'd be a lot in the room. So I just accidentally dodged all of them. But they were there. They were definitely there. Um, Looking at my blitz list now, this was my blitz list going into Worlds. And I don't know what changes I'm looking to make. Genesis is a card I am looking at possibly either shaving or cutting entirely. To add either like ALS or more yellows, like Yellow Oasis is a card I'm looking at because I'm currently running red. But I'm wondering if yellow is actually just better because like it's just one less damage, but it turns on just more of your deck. I just recently had Herald of Judgment because I didn't realize I didn't have Herald of Judgment in there before. Well, that's also a Prism specialization, which is like just so weird. I don't know why that's the specialization. Cause like I don't know. It's just say like Q chain. It's pretty much an FU chain. That's all that is. Like thematically, I can kind of understand like chain versus prism like thematically. In lore is like a big thing. But like realistically, it should have been like Erudition or something. I don't know. But I added Herald Judgment recently, and it's been working pretty good because I've been facing a lot changed. Ode to Wrath is a card that I've not been super high on in Blitz. Just having more no blocks in the deck do feel kind of dangerous. But I've also taken I'm not 100% sure what I would put in for it. Again, the Ode to Wrath could become the ALS. And I can keep Genesis in. Because at least like Genesis gives me like a really solid like going second turn 1 play if my opponent doesn't have like a lot of the goods. You know what I mean? Ode to Wrath is just like fine. It does give me the go again, so maybe it actually does still warrant a place in the deck. But I have time before this starts. Dreamweavers is another card I was wanting to see if I could fit into this deck, specifically for Kano, because I have 0 Spell Void in this, which absolutely scares me. Yeah, that's where we're at right now with the Prism deck. As far as like Kano goes, Peter just won the Bioharden I was at with Kano. I think we were the 2 highest placed in Kanos, I believe. I really do dig his list a lot. Am I going to copy that list and make that list my list? I don't 100% know yet. I'm still not 100% sold on the Iron Hides, but it is most likely correct. Emeritus Scolding is like a really good card in Blitz, just because of the life totals, but like, just seeing a 2 cost off the top just like tilts me so hard. If I'm ever trying to do a combo turn, but like I guess like the combo turn is less mana intensive in this format than others. But like in having Eye and Nourishing as 2 non-hits, I also just don't like. I like having like either 0 no hits or only 1, and I prefer to have Nourishing. But I don't know. I think his list overall still is pretty solid. Like you don't accidentally get first in anything without like having a solid foundation. So his list is a list I am looking at as well. As far as Chain, Ryan Rich, the boy Ryan Rich, also attended this tournament and got second with Chain. And looking at his Chain list, I do again like he is smart. He has 12 Void in his deck. I think his equipment suite is absolutely perfect. Looking at the main deck, the only card I don't like is Eclipse, but like I think Eclipse is probably just here to be a blue. Like I feel like there's probably better blues. He included Soul Reaping in his deck just in case people did pivot to Prism, which I definitely think is correct. Having a 0 for 6 go again seems pretty cool. And Burden's Existence, I always ran at 2 in my chain deck. But having it at 1 is probably fine, because again, you want stuff that does stuff, if that makes sense. And there's a lot of matchups where this actually might not do anything. Overall, I think his deck is solid as well. He included Revel and Roombloods his. I don't like Revel and Roomblood in Chain. Just because you might be choked on resources and you may not get the perfect hand to be able to turn on Revel and then swing with something. Maybe if you have love cards and Manish, you can go like Plunder Run into like Belittle, fetch a Bit of Wisdom, Revel Roomblood, play like a 1 or 2 cost sack for Manish with a Bit of Wisdom, and just go absolutely bazookas like that. But like, I don't think there's enough turns that look like that to where it's warranted. Maybe I'm wrong, because obviously, again, you don't get second without having a solid plan. And obviously, he found Rebel being good enough. The Tome of Findel is very interesting. I would like to ask him what the reason for Tome would be. I wonder if it's just like an arsenal target. Because like you're running Spellbound Creepers, so like there's times where you can block on your opponent's turn, and then Tome of Findo and gain life back. That could be one of the reasons. Including the Gambler's Glove is also again smart, because just play Gambler's Glove in your deck. If you face against KO, you just will die if you don't. But overall, I think his deck is solid as well. Those are the 3 decks I'm looking at, and those are the big 3 decks going to the tournament. I think the other players would be obviously Icelander. Icelander is just a good deck in every format. Doesn't matter what gets banned. Kasai and Dorinthia, I think, are going to be decent for this meta. The one thing I'm very, very scared of is Rhinar. I do not want to face Rhinar. Because I do predict if I face against Rhinar, I will just down turn 1 at least twice in a 6-round tournament, and I will absolutely baby rage, and I'm not looking forward to that. But I think Rhinar's a pretty good player here. Unfortunately, Levy is still dog meat in this format. And like, I'm 50-50 on Dash. Like, I think Dash is probably good in Blitz. Boost Dash specifically. Like, I think you just have enough damage, especially if you have Anomaly Blaster or Talishar. Like, I think both are just, like, fine. So, like, there has to be, like, a world where you just, if you start Pounder, that you can just OTK someone. Like, she can present 100 damage in CC by turn 4. So what stops her from presenting 50 in Blitz? Because, like, I don't think there's a lot of decks that can just be like, yep, I'm just going to fatigue this deck. Oh, okay, I'm at 5. Oh, I'm going to fatigue this deck. Oh, I'm dead. I don't know how many decks can actually do that realistically enough, you know what I mean? Yeah, no, I just don't think it's possible. So, like, maybe Dash could actually be a pretty decent play as well. That's pretty much all I got, guys. I know this was a shorter episode, but again, I am quite tired with my new job schedule, and I am moving soon, so I do need to kind of step up my pace a little bit. But if you guys did enjoy this podcast and you guys want to see more, hit that follow button, hit that like button, you know, all that sweet jazz, all that sweet bippy, you know, sweet bippy, that's a new term I'm using now. It's been your boy Cypher from Cypher TCG. I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.